Oh, it's so small. It's so small. Hey, what's up everyone? How are you? I'm very well, thank you. Bit of a life update going on right now. I'm 4 days, I think I've had 4 days off the bike. Bit of a mid-season break, which is something I've become very, very bad at doing actually, like the last, I don't know, 5 years maybe. Well, not the first 5 years I started racing like flat out through the whole year. I was very bad at it, but now I've become a lot better at that, thankfully, the last 2 years. So I've been managing to not only start my season earlier, which hasn't happened this year, but definitely end the season a lot later. So so that's what we're doing. We're taking 4 days off now, recharging, refreshing, and oh, it's dark here. It's not good. And first part of the season was a little bit kind of like mediocre, I think, from my perspective anyway. It's not kind of what I wanted, but we've still got a lot of time left in this year. Like, there's an awful lot to do. There's still a fair few races left, and plus we've got the hill climb season, which I love doing. I don't care if you don't like doing it, I love doing it, and it also makes really good YouTube content as well, because it kind of like, it creates a story, which kind of led me onto the National Champs last year, and I managed to document quite a lot of videos up to it, and created like a story of, like, you know, how I got down to a certain weight, how do I look after myself, how do I train hard for it specifically, and yeah, I just love following like stories or even video series on YouTube. So making my own like that was pretty special, and I love doing that every year. Nice. So with that in mind, we're going to roll into the second part of the season now with some big goals, both personal and team-wise as well. And I think even if you don't ride for, I don't know, like a Tour de France team, even if you ride for like a club level team, an amateur team, you can still have like goals, like you can still have aims, especially like both, you know, for yourself and for your team, and sometimes the goals that the team will set, you know, they may not fit in with your goals, but you know, a really good bike rider or a really good athlete or a really good coach or a really good team manager will always try and make sure that his rider, his player, his athlete, or his or her will, you know, be able to perform and still get the most out of the situation for themselves and for their goals. And for me, you know, I'm very, very lucky that there's some races that we're doing that really do fit in with my goals, and I can make goals out of those races. And sometimes, well, sometimes it works out that, you know, that my goal races or my A events are at the start of the year, and sometimes they're at the end of the year. You know, obviously this year, a lot of my focus is towards the latter half. So even though I've pulled out some fairly half-decent performances in the Tour of the Reservoir just gone, I've still not really reached like what I would consider to be my peak level of fitness this year. So you're probably all wondering, what am I targeting? Well, in the short term, I'm targeting a 3-day race on the Isle of Man, which is the first weekend, I think, of August. I'm saying I think, but I should really know. Like, if I'm targeting it, like I should, like, you should know. I was like, so yeah, I'm gonna target that because it's a 3-day event, but there's four races. I'm not sure what the format is in the minute, whether or not like it's done as a stage race format, or whether it's just done as, you know, one-off races, or whether one of them is a one-off race, and then the other 3 races are part of a stage race. A bit like how the Tour Down Under starts. Do you know they have like a People's Choice Classic, like a crit race? Because I think there's a crit race to kick this off in the Isle of Man, and then there's 3 races, and one of them's a hill climb. Sorry, dun dun dun. One of them's a hill climb. The hill climb I will be particularly keen to do a good ride at, and in doing so I'm going to have to lose a few kilos, I'm gonna have to get really specific with my training in the next week and a half, particularly because obviously the closer you get to the event, the less gains that can be made. So I want to be doing most of my heavy duty work like early in this prep, and being that we're only 31 days away, I kind of have to get my butt into gear for these first kind of 10 days before kind of just not tapering, but like just getting structurally ready. And it's going to be really interesting how I do it as well, so I hope to document it as much as possible on YouTube in order to show you that. But it'll be things like I'll do a lot of intensity early in this prep when I'm like a healthier weight, I guess, and then because I'll be utilizing the carbohydrate in my diet, then when I start getting close to the event, I'll be starting to do slightly more endurance work or just slightly longer rides in which I'll be able to reduce my carbohydrate intake, include fats, which will increasingly help me to lower my calories and therefore burn a little bit more fat that I have, to bring my weight down to something that's going to be extremely competitive for that hill climb. And again, it's not going to be a healthy weight, like, and I try to stress this as much as possible, because you know, whenever I talk about food or nutrition to anybody, I always try and tell them to take it with a pinch of salt, because it's not something that I recommend to anybody to be flat out with, because both mentally and, like, you know, physically it can't be that good for you. But in terms of performance, like, I know what I'm capable of doing. It's just through trial and error, so that's like a massive disclaimer there on this video right now. But yeah, I'm like, well, that's all good. Welcome to Flatley. So yeah, I'm gonna be kind of documenting all of this. I have a target in mind. I want to be there or thereabouts in hill climb shape, but it's going to be very hard to cut down into that so quickly in the short space of time that we've got. But I'm still gonna give it a go. If I don't get down to my target of like 58, 59 kilos, I want to at least be able to do somewhere around the 400 watts for that hill climb event, which, if I think it's 3.8 miles, it's going to take around 12 minutes. So funny enough, it's about the same as what the national hill climb will be this year. The great thing is, when you prep, for me anyway, when you prep for something that's this close, you can afford to dip down really quickly. You know, you can afford to drop your calories really quickly just to kind of dip down into this weight just for that short time period. It won't so much have a negative impact on your performance so long as you don't hold it for too long and then you just come back up again. So I've done it numerous times. So it's a practice. How do you say? What's the say? I've practiced it. That's what I'm trying to say. I've practiced it numerous times. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be like the theme of the next month, taking me up to the Isle of Man. There's plenty more to come, but that's going to be the aim. I've got to be honest with you, that's going to be the aim, both for me personally and for the team, because we're looking ahead at the Tour Britain qualification process, which, for those of you that don't know, involves basically trying to win every single bike race so that you you just accumulate a load of points. But at the minute, we're like knocking on the door for like being able to qualify, and that would obviously be very good for us. But for me, that's going to be my aim at the Isle of Man, to do a good ride there. And I think as a team we can definitely do something there. It's really hilly, it's going to be really hard, and this is a perfect example of where like both a rider and his team's goals line, and you can really make the most of it as not just a cyclist but as an athlete. So yeah, that is it. I'm going to go and buy some chocolate now because it's the last day I'll get to eat anything like this. Wow. Hey everyone, how you doing? I come to you from a roadside lay-by hedge in the middle of Pinghead. Just finished 20-minute test to see where I'm at. The numbers don't lie, gotta be honest. 363 average, 367 normalized. I've had 3 days off. I've had 3 days completely off. So doing this like in a pretty fresh state, if I gotta be honest. But boy, it always hurts like a lot more. I know, at least it always feels like it hurts a lot more when you do them fresh. Hence why I generally don't do them when I'm fresh. But I had to do it because it's kind of where it fits this week in my training. It's a very busy period in the minute with a crit on Friday in Azerbaijan. Woohoo! Doing that crit, flying the Welsh flag, and then driving from there on Saturday up to Newcastle again. So another 6-hour epic for the Beaumont Trophy on Sunday. What I've done is I've taken those few easy days. I've reset now by doing this session tonight, which I kind of like. I thought anywhere close to 370 and I'd be happy, and because tonight I had a big headwind out, it was a lot easier to control my power. And then with the literally a bang on. I don't think I've ever had a tailwind like that on this course, which is where we usually have our 10-mile time trial. I don't think I've ever had it that good. Just coming out and testing and see where I'm at. So I was kind of happy with anything around the 370. So I'll take the normalized, even though that's not actually what I did, but I'll take the normalized because I had 3 occasions where I had to freewheel for around 20 seconds each. So I lost around a minute. I lost around a minute of actual solid state power. So I think it's important, particularly when you do it with fresh legs, it's important to ride yourself into it, like not go too deep too early. And I know that kind of applies to a lot of things, but with the effort, particularly when you're fresh, like it's very easy to overcook it early doors. So I'm not very used to doing that, believe it or not. Like, I'm very used to doing these kind of efforts when I'm very tired. That's just how, you know, endurance bike or road racing works then in that sense. So for me, doing this is a little bit alien, but I think that's the best power I've ever done fresh, if that makes sense. So that's pretty good to take away. And going from here, I've literally spent like most of today sat at my laptop and literally played around with a load of TSS numbers, loads of different scenarios, like in terms of building up for the next few weeks, and like training and making sure that what I do is as trying to figure out what I do as clever as possible and as smart as possible. And of course losing a bit of weight as well, which being that I've had 3 days off, like I've put on a few kgs, but that's gonna happen with water and just being generally sedentary. So all is good. I'm really happy with that. Like I said, like if I did that power, well, within the next few weeks, I aim to be able to do 375 at the end of this 3-week block for 20 minutes. That'll be my aim. But of course, that's not the be all or end all, because there's a lot of efforts in the racing we'll be doing where, you know, I'm not actually going to be riding for 20 minutes, you know, hard, steady state. I'm going to be doing like, you know, 5-minute efforts and 3-minute efforts and that sort of thing. So 14-minute efforts, because that's what the hill climb is. So it's all about kind of juggling that. And I think if I can get my fitness to a point where I can do 375 for 20, 400 for 14, and then, you know, like whatever for 5 minutes, like I'm not really overly bothered about that. That kind of takes care of itself. I've always kind of had like a good 5 minute without having to push it. But again, if I bring my weight down, which I plan to 60 kilos or under, then we'll be in with a good shout of pushing some good numbers. Just a quick word actually on fitness, because like my 20 minutes there is like 13 watts off my all-time best, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not in good shape. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not, like, I'm 13 watts off my best ever shape. Like, I may be 30 watts off my best ever 20-minute, but this is why we have tests for like 5-minute power, 10-second power, and all that sort of thing. So, for example, I might be able to do a new best 10-minute power or 5-minute power tomorrow, but I won't know because I'm not going to do it. But just as an example, it's not the be all or end all, guys. It's not the be all end all.